As you've no doubt noticed, my good friend Sam, the Lucha Media Geek, is with me. We've been hanging out this weekend and thought we'd give you a review of the new Preacher pilot, which has just landed on Amazon this week, Amazon Prime for UK viewers. It's on AMC in America. Now, I feel like we should sort of preface this by explaining how we feel about Preacher.
How big fanboys we are of said material.
Absolutely, because I think it's, for me, safe to say that Preacher is one of my all-time favourite comic book runs.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore it. I've read it 2 or 3 times, starting years and years ago, fell in love with it.
I know Preacher got me back into comics.
And now, 20-ish years later, the series has finally come to fruition. They've talked about different adaptations of Preacher. There's been multiple different takes on it since the comics first landed, but none have ever actually made it to film.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a couple of different film versions of it. I think
Mendes was attached, we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, I think Sam Mendes' version was the one I was most interested in seeing. Then they talked about putting it on HBO for a while, but
Kevin Smith
never happened. Yeah, because Kevin Smith wrote one of the introductions to one of the trade paperbacks.
The second one.
The second one, yeah. So he's been interested in adapting it in the past, and it's just never happened until now. So the pilot's landed. It's produced, and I think they're acting as showrunners as well, and also directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who are the guys responsible for like Superbad and This Is the End and Knocked Up, just a load of different movies like that. And I must say, like, as much as I enjoy Seth Rogen, I'm not a huge fan. And this is one of the things that worried me about the Preacher adaptation, was the fact that has anything Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg done really make you say these are the right people for Preacher?
No, but I'd agree totally. The only thing that made me think maybe on the other side of that is I'm thinking, because it's like you said with Sam Mendes, this is kind of not in their wheelhouse. There's been numerous attempts to make this happen, as we said, it hadn't been come to fruition. You get the impression that this is their love of the book, sheer willpower. What do we have to do, to make this happen? And
I think that does shine through in the pilot, because we weren't sort of bowled over by it, I think it's fair to say.
They're trying something different.
It's a different beast, and I would say that that's the important thing to remember. If you go in as a fan of the comic books to watch this pilot, just go in the mindset that it's not a straight-up adaptation, which, before we watched it, we both said that you can't adapt Preacher straight from the page because it just wouldn't work on the screen. But they do stray quite far from some of the source
as I've said to you, without going into the details of the source material, which basically baits the book at one point, baits every minority group, every faith group. Doesn't do it on purpose. Almost, it does fit in with the ongoing narrative of the story, but the thing is, like you said, there's certain chunks that couldn't be in. But here's the thing. Look at what AMC did with The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead comic and The Walking Dead film. You can read The Walking Dead comics and still watch the AMC TV show and be completely bowled over. Here's the thing. The Walking Dead pilot was still pretty close to the book, right? It was. With the Preacher pilot, they're literally going, this is Preacher, but this is our version of Preacher, which is going to go this way. It's going to go round the houses.
I think that's fair. And to be honest, that's another thing that kind of worried me about Preacher, was that I don't like the Walking Dead TV series. Love the books, I'm a big fan of the comics, but I really don't like the series. Just doesn't work for me. I feel like we should probably explain what Preacher's about for the uninitiated, because there are probably some people watching this that don't already know. So it basically follows the story of a washed-up preacher, kind of. He's losing his faith almost, called Jesse Custer. In this, he's played by Dominic Cooper. Yeah. In a small town called Annville, Texas, is kind of possessed by.
Well, we shouldn't really get into that for people who might be watching the show. Let's just say who haven't read the comics, because here's the thing: in the comics, here's the thing: the first trade. First issue sets you up, bang, here you are, this is happening, bang, 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 bang. The TV show is going the long way around. In the comic, you know what's hit Jesse, what it is, where it's from, in the first few pages. All we'll say, for those of you watching the show who haven't read the comic, he's hit by some kind of celestial entity.
Yeah.
I think would be the best way to
That gives him
describe
superpowers, shall we say.
Yeah, it gives him, think Kilgrave from Jessica Jones on crack.
And in the meantime, you have him meet a character called Cassidy, who is played by, is it Joseph Gilgan? I'm not sure.
Gilgan, I think.
Basically an Irish vampire character. And also an ex-flame of Jesse's called Tulip, played by Ruth Negga.
Negga is pronounced,
she comes back into town, back into Jesse's life kind of thing. So it's really those trio of main characters that the pilot spends its time introducing you to, as well as some of the dynamics of the side characters. And it does take, as you say, a slower build-up than the comic books ever did. One thing I must say, like having left the pilot, the fight choreography is pretty great.
Let's talk about what's good. Let's do it simple. Let's talk about the good. The good is, as you said, the fight choreography
is pretty much film standard.
Yes.
I'd say. The effects are great. You can tell
they get round the fact they literally say to you, look, it's almost like they're saying to the fans who read the comics, look, there's shit in the comics you're not gonna get.
Because
be at peace with it. But the way we're going to get round it, you're going to like.
Yeah. They pretty much put all the money on screen. I think it's fair to say.
Please.
Yeah, there's one notable big action scene that is kind of heard off screen, but they play it for laughs to get around it, so you don't feel shortchanged. So the fight choreography and the effects are great. I actually think all the performances are really strong. They're not necessarily completely the characters from the book.
No.
So far, I mean, we're one episode in, so we can only really judge it on this hour-long pilot.
And to be fair, the characters from the book are so hyper-real, they wouldn't work.
Yeah.
With the slower pacing, by definition of television, they wouldn't work. You've got to give them more nuance.
Yeah, which is they're clearly doing.
Yeah.
I think, though, that in that regard, all the characters have potential to reach what they were in the books, and I'd be interested to see that journey. There's certain side characters that we won't spoil for you, but that they get dead on. Yeah. One in particular.
Yeah.
That as soon as they came on screen, you squealed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do get some of the minor side characters right.
One thing I'll say in regards to casting, just to sum it up, I know it sounds weird with it being a pilot. Everybody wants to be there.
Yeah.
That's clear. Everybody wants to be there. There's no one's like, it's a pilot, I'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I think that's very fair to say. They all seem very committed and invested. I think we should probably talk about some of the stuff that didn't quite work. And we did kind of discuss this last night when we finished watching it, but it is front-loaded, the pilot.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically an hour long, and the first kind of 20-25 minutes,
bang, boom,
the pace
boom, boom,
is very quick, scene to set piece. It's great. You're on for the ride, and then in the second half of the pilot, it does quite slow down. But to its detriment, I thought.
Yeah, for me, this is how it's structured. Here's all the stuff in the comics we've got to get out of the way. And here's the padding so that we can stretch it to one season of a TV show and keep it within the same location.
Yeah. So again, there will be necessities behind that. Another thing that we thought might be a criticism, but we don't know yet, is how they're doing the origin of the Preacher.
Yeah.
They kind of... It could be the same thing as the books, or it could be a different interpretation. We can't really tell yet, but it got us both a bit like,
yeah. Well, for me as well, there was one. It's Tulip, and anyone who's read the books, there's something, and we were all like, no, it's TV, it's TV, it's a different medium, and da da da. But there was one moment where she says one thing, and we both looked at each other at the same time and went, Tulip wouldn't do that. In any iteration. That's the line she wouldn't cross, but again, it's something different.
We kept having to sort of remind ourselves that it's an adaptation and it's a different medium and whatnot. So I hope it doesn't stray too far from the spirit of the books. But I think it has potential. Yeah. It has potential to be a great series. I just hope they don't go Walking Dead on it, because Walking Dead seemed to run out of momentum halfway through the first season.
Yeah, I'm going to give Walking Dead another go, because, with so many other TV shows. The amount of people who are like, no, stick with it, gets better, then I'm going to take a stab at it. For me, there'll be a lot of people who see this who go, it's great, it's brilliant. There'll be people as well who go, it's rubbish. Here's the key thing, it's a pilot.
Yeah.
It's not formed yet.
I think as a pilot, though, taking it as a pilot is one of the best I've seen.
I was saying to you, another example, it's a very different show, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer's pilot is terrible. The amount of people who like saw the pilot of Buffy and I'm like, no, stick with it.
Yeah.
No, this isn't one of those pilots where you go, yeesh, there's in there. I give it 6 out of 10. I think you give it the same, didn't you?
So I might be kinder to it. I might go 7 if I had to give it a rating.
I'm sticking with 6.
It's above average and it has potential. I liked pretty much everyone in it. There were a couple of niggles here and there, but I'm up for it. I'm up for the rest of it, you know. And I managed to get myself over the course of the pilot into that headspace that I shouldn't be expecting the books.
No.
And once I sort of accepted that, I think I was a little bit more forgiving of it. So.
But we want her star and we want Franken-Merkin sexual detectives.
And we want the Saint of Killers, who they have said is going to be in it at some point. There are certain mainstays in the Preacher franchise that
if they weren't there, the fans are just like, we're gone.
Well, if they weren't there, it's not Preacher because they are the pillars of what holds the story together. So there are certain aspects they really need to get right. But I think we'll both give them the benefit of the doubt based on this pilot. So if you're on the fence about whether or not to give it a shot, if you're a fan of the books, go for it, but don't go expecting a page-for-page adaptation. And
if you're on that, the Harry Potter films,
we all know what they are. If you're into TV shows that are kind of supernatural and whatnot, you'll probably get a kick out of it. It's very much in that genre. Your casual viewers, not sure it'd hook them.
No,
but we'll see.
Best use of Willie Nelson song ever.
Overall, it was a perfectly fine pilot, and we'll give it a shot. So thank you for watching, guys.